Hello everyone, welcome to Gold Rank. Well done. Very impressive to get to Gold. I think this has probably taken you a couple of 100 hours. It certainly took me much more than that. It took me a really long time to get to Gold in Street Fighter V. I think mostly because I was hanging out here too much and not getting in my opponent's face. But anyway, congratulations on making it to Gold. As usual, we start the sequence by introducing a few new combos, and here we're going to be introducing some very important situational combos. The most important one, I think, to start with, and the simplest one, is level 2. So we have spoken about using level 1 as an invincible reversal. Sometimes you'll also use it in Fireball Wars, but that's quite rare because it's sort of slower than most things. Sometimes you also use it to chip out your opponent. So when your opponent's in burnout and they're very close to death, supers do a lot of chip damage. So that's quite useful. But mostly we use level 1 as a way to get invincible reversals, especially when we're in burnout. And then we've talked about level 3, particularly off DPs at the end of combos. And level 3 is really kind of the main thing that Ryu does. But if you have a good level 2 super in this game, it's super powerful. One of the reasons why Rashid is a top 5 character is because he has the best level 2 super in the game. It's really quite easy to build up 2 bars of super pretty much every round, and then you can just be throwing out a super every round. Most people's level 2 supers just deal a whack of damage. So let's have a look at that. So Ryu's level 1 does 2,000 damage. Ryu's level 2 does 2,800 damage. So a whole extra bar for less than 50% more damage doesn't seem very good. But if you charge Ryu's super, then it does more damage. And it does 3,000. Still only 50% more damage, but that's a decent whack. The thing about level 2 super that makes it kind of lame is that it blasts your opponent across the screen. So usually you don't really get any Oki, and even if you drive rush behind it, like you get good corner carry, but you can't really pressure your opponent on wake up. But there is an exception, and that's the combo we're going to learn now. So this is a combo that allows you to get the charged level 2 out, and it gives you really tasty Oki, and it comes up all the time. So I think this is a really, really important combo to have in your arsenal. And we're basically going to do OD donkey kick, and then immediately go into level 2 super. Alright, now, so you see there we got the full combo, so 4,000 damage, 3,990. We also got Oki, so I was actually on top of him after the Tatsu, and I believe I'm +7. We'll have a look at that in a second. And we had him in the corner. Alright, so full corner carry, mad damage, and full Oki. Really, really powerful stuff. Let's have a look at the damage boost from this combo. So if I just do my usual combo, I get 3,000. So by spending 2 bars, I get a whole 1,000 extra damage. That's quite a lot of extra damage. We wouldn't get anywhere near that if we did a level 1 super because of the scaling. And usually after the Dragon Punch, I have to spend a drive rush to get Oki, and I don't get nearly as much corner carry, right? That's like the main problem with the Dragon Punch finish, is that it really doesn't carry them much to the corner, whereas this level 2 does. Now let's turn his wake up reversal off for a second. Alright, we are +6 there. Okay, +6 on top of him, so we got all day to do one of these, but we can even put out a heavy punch, and that's going to trade with his light, or we can put out this one. The reason why I don't like to use this is because if they block it, you are very minus, right? And you haven't drive rushed in here, so you don't get any frame advantage. So I find that usually the best thing to do is just to use a medium punch, and just know that you're plus, right? And a lot of the time, especially in the low grades, people will see you Tatsu in, and they'll assume that you're massively minus and they can just wake up with a jab or something, and they can't. You'll just punch them in the mouth, all right? So this is really worth practicing. Let's see it one more time. You just do your OD donkey kick, and as you're inputting it, you're cancelling into level 2 super, and make sure you hold down the punch button so you get the charge. And when you hear the second charge clash, the tsh, tsh, then you let it go. You'll get Luke really easily while he's up and high. And then as you recover from it, you'll have to practice the timing to get the Tatsu, but you have really good Oki. Let's put him on waking up with crouching light punch. And then we're just doing that medium fireball pressure that we talked about in the previous video. So that is a super important combo. I think you really want to have that in your arsenal. And then there's another version of it that's quite important, the stun combo. Let's look at that now. So to get this combo set up, you need to have Luke just before he's got goes into burnout so that you can practice getting the stun combo. So for that, what you want to do is bring his parameter drive gauge 2 down to 0. Make sure that it's set to standard, not to refill. You can set your own to refill. And then as soon as you close this screen, save state. All right, and now he's down low. So every time you reset, he'll be down low. And then what you want to practice is having him on block all and just do your heavy punch DI. And I'll explain why heavy punch DI in a second, but that's how we're gonna set up the stun situation, all right? Now, the stun combo that we want is the following. We're gonna do Denjin charge first, then immediately forward jump, heavy punch, OD Hashogeki, and cancel the OD Hashogeki into level 2. Let's have a look. And then you should also be able to get an uppercut. But I've got him on block all at the moment, so that didn't work. So let's do it now with the stun. Ooh, 4,000 damage, right? That's 4,000 damage after we hit him with the DI and the stun combo, right? So he takes a fat chunk of damage there. 200 and he's in stun. Boom. That's beefy damage, 4,000. It's hard to get really big damage off a stun combo because the stun scaling comes in, but 4,000 damage is a really huge amount. All right, now there's a couple of things I just need to explain briefly about this combo. The main thing, or the first thing, is that you can only cancel into level 2 super off an EX move. That's why we need to use the OD Hashogeki or the OD Donkey Kick. The second thing to note is that we need some time to charge. So when you do the OD Donkey Kick, you've got the time while he flies off the wall to do it. When you get the OD Hashogeki, when it's charged, he crumples, and that's what gives you the time to do it. You can see him falling to his knees. But usual Hashogeki doesn't have that effect. It just bounces him and you're only +3. So regular Hashogeki is a pressure tool. You only use it when your opponent is blocking because it leaves you plus and you're pretty much in throw range. So we'll talk about that actually very soon in Gold. How do you do Hashogeki pressure? But here the main thing is just to work on that super combo. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, and you can integrate this with your practice of the stun combo, is using drive rush into DI. So generally speaking, we don't want to like raw drive impact people in the corner. It's just not a very effective strategy. Drive impact takes a very long time to come out, and your opponent will have plenty of time to see it coming. The better ways to do it are situations where you cancel into a move, and because you've cancelled into drive impact, there's a very limited window between your initial punch and the drive impact for your opponent to do their drive impact. So let's try to have a look at that. Right. If we have Luke set to block all, you can't quite see that because the frames at the bottom are moving too fast, but there's actually only, I think, 2 frames in which Luke can press his drive impact, otherwise he gets hit. because he's still in block stun from my heavy punch for quite a long time before he can act. And then he has 2 frames to act before the drive impact hits him. That's both because my heavy punch does big block stun and because I'm drive rushing in. So I get 4 extra frames of advantage, which means I recover from my heavy punch very quickly, and he is recovering slowly because of the block stun. And when you put those 2 things together, he's only got about 2 frames, I believe, to hit the DI, which is really hard. Like, even if he's ready and he sees me drive impacting, it's difficult for him to get the timing right. So this is one thing that I think is really worth doing, and you really want to practice it when you see that you've knocked your opponent down around here, particularly if you're doing something like the medium tatsu, where you often drive rush in and heavy punch anyway. So you'll get something like, let's see, if we put him on block after first hit, and then we have him wake up blocking. So we'll take that off and we'll change do nothing to go backwards, and we'll have him go backwards for 5 frames. Right, and so if I get a knockdown with a tatsu around here, it's actually a bit too close. So if I get a knockdown around here off a medium tatsu, especially if Luke back rolls, I know that I've got him quite close to the corner. And so now if I drive rush and hit him with the drive impact, he's going to fly enough to hit the corner. So when you get knocked down here, you think you're in the mid screen. You think there's no way my opponent's going to DI me, but you're so close to the wall that a aware attacker will actually know that this is a good opportunity to DI. Boom, got him. All right. And that's like really powerful. You get really good corner carry off it. I think you can even do this like basically from mid screen. Ooh, not quite, but like pretty close. So pretty close to mid screen. Certainly from here, if you get something like this, boom, he's stuffed, right? And most people aren't going to be ready for that. It all happens really quickly. It's a narrow frame window for them to press anyway. So I think this is the main way to add drive impact to your arsenal. It's particularly strong, obviously, if your opponent is close to burnout and you get the stun, and then you can practice the stun combo. The other time to practice the stun is something I mentioned way back in one of the earliest videos. When you've got your opponent in the corner and you see that they're low on drive gauge, and you can just punch them once with the heavy punch and they'll burn out, then you can immediately go into the DI and you'll get the stun. That's quite sexy. Is there something else for me to say here? Yes. If your opponent is in burnout, the frame situation with the heavy punch changes. So because they're in block stun for even longer, you'll actually get the lock. You won't be able to stun them. I won't go into the details, but there's a mechanism in the game that prevents you doing perfect block string drive impacts that result in stun. So if your opponent's burnt out, you have to do that. Okay, you have to do drive rush into crouch medium punch, and you get basically the same situation where your opponent only has like 2 frames in which to press the drive impact, right? But generally, I don't even think you need to worry about that too much. Just worry about this one. Boom. It's like super effective. I found it effective all the way up through Diamond. I even see pros die to it occasionally. So it's really quite a good strategy. The next combo I'm going to teach you guys about is the sign switch combo. This one is really juicy. It's a little bit hard to do, or the timing on it is quite tight. It's not a particularly long sequence, just the very last bit is quite tight. But even if you drop the very last bit, you're still in a great situation. What you need for this combo is a crumple. So one way you can get a crumple is if you get a punish counter. Heavy kick, right? Then you see Luke falling to his knees. But that's not very common in the corner that you get this punish counter, and I don't really think you should be looking for it very often. If you watch Semi play, he's a pro Ryu player, he does get these quite often, but he is like a lunatic. It's very hard to replicate his style. It's so aggro, and he has amazing abilities to predict what his opponent is trying to do, and that's why he gets this. Similarly, the punish counter where you get this after your opponent's done an uppercut or something is very unlikely to be happening in the corner. What is more likely to happen in the corner is that your opponent is going to try to drive impact you. You're going to beat the drive impact, and then you get a crumple, and then you can do this combo. So let's have a look at that. That's it there. Now, if you miss the last bit, you're still going to have the side switch. Right? So you're still going to have the side switch in that situation. And that's all you really want. Like, you spent some bar, you missed the DP, which means that your Oki's not going to be quite as good. But you're out of the corner, you did good damage to your opponent. That's the main situation that we want. Now let's talk about getting this combo. The only thing you really need to know, there's two things. One is that you don't hit him until he falls to his knees. You hit him when he falls to his knees, then you're going to get a certain trajectory off the donkey kick that will allow you to duck under him when you dash. After you've done the donkey kick, you want to dash forward and then do light DP on that side. So if I'm dashing from left to right, I'm going to do Dragon Punch forward, right? I'm not going to try to do Dragon Punch backwards as he's coming over my head. What we rely on here is for the computer to auto-correct the direction of our Dragon Punch. One tip is that when you dash, the last button of dash is forward, so you can go into the DP straight away from there. All right, let's have a look at it one more time. Just pay attention to when I do the first crouch heavy punch. I wait for him to fall to his knees, and then look at my Dragon Punch inputs to see that I'm just Dragon Punching forwards, and then the autocorrect will have me turn around and hit him as he goes over my head. Nice. That is a super useful combo to have in your arsenal alongside just using heavy Tatsu to do side swaps. The reason why it's better than heavy Tatsu is that you get much better Oki afterwards. So once you've got the combo down, then also explore your Oki options even without Drive Rush, right? You still have Oki, so it's pretty solid stuff, and it does nearly 3,000 damage, so really brutal combo. The last thing I want to show you guys in this video is what to do when we get a Hashogeki juggle. So the main way we've been getting Hashogeki juggles so far is off our heavy punch counter, this one. So when our opponent does something super unsafe like a Tatsu or an OD uppercut, we also get this option, or when they try to hit us with a super and we block it, although often we'll be using this. And the other time we get it is when we do a wake up light Hashogeki. So we do something like light Tatsu into Hashogeki, and instead of blocking, they try to press a button, then we're going to get a juggle. And in both of those situations, so far we've just been doing Tatsu. That's pretty good. Like, we get pretty decent damage off it, we get some corner carry, and we probably get Oki as long as we drive rush after our Tatsu. But there are better things to do off that combo in a lot of cases. I think usually it's better to get the Denjin unless you're in corner situations. So what is the Denjin? The Denjin is this. Right, that gets you 2,894 damage, which is quite a bit more than the Tatsu, and we're Denjin charged. Now, we haven't talked about Denjin charge combos and setups at all yet, but Denjin charge is really, really good. And in the next video, I'm going to show you all about what to do with Denjin charges, particularly heavy Hashogeki. Heavy Hashogeki with Denjin charge is totally fab. And so Denjin charge is really good. So in both of these Hashogeki situations, I think you want to practice that sequence. So just get your heavy punish counter going. Get your Denjin charge up, right? Good corner carry. Now, there will be situations like this where if you just did a Tatsu, or rather if you just did this, then you would get much better Oki and you'd have Luke in the corner or something, then you should take the Oki. Okay, if you've got corner pressure, take corner pressure. Ryu is fierce in the corner because of his throw loops and his safe jumps. But if you're mid-screen, like around here, and you get a nice punish counter, then just go for the Denjin, and that'll help you push Luke all the way to the corner. One last thing that we've got to talk about with Denjin charge is the combos that you do on your Okizeme and later on in neutral, when you're drive rushing in and hitting them with the low light kick. So we've been doing the following combo up to now. Right, and I like that. 1430, the Tatsu gives you good Oki, you can go into your Hashogeki, that's pretty nice. But sometimes you're going to want the Denjin charge combo instead, maybe just to get the Denjin charge, but especially when you're in the corner like this. When you're close to the corner, then the Tatsu's not really that helpful because you don't need its corner carry, and the Denjin charge makes your pressure here in the corner so fearsome. Right, so let's have a look at, this is the target combo where you do medium punch light kick, right? And then you continue into the Denjin. Right, and I'm +7 on top of him in the corner, right? And because you've done the Hashogeki, which most people think takes 1,000 frames, they think they're going to be plus waking up, but they're not. You are big time plus. And if you hit them here with a medium punch, then the crouch heavy punch connects on counter hit, and even if they're blocking, you can do medium punch, crouch heavy punch into Denjin, and you'll be +3. And because the crouch heavy punch cancels into Hashogeki, it's a pretty strong frame trap. Like, you can't really get out of that pressure. And then that Hashogeki juggles them again. So you can actually continue the cycle and just keep getting Denjin charges. So let's have a look at that. Right, so now I'm +3 and I'm still in throw range, right? So you've just got like really savage pressure there with that Denjin charge. What if we have Luke waking up with crouch light punch? And then I can just Shoryuken him there and go into level 3. Or I can do the Denjin charge combo again. Right, you get the picture. So I think this is something to have in your arsenal, is that when you're close to the corner, instead of doing Tatsu, you want to get the Denjin charge, because Denjin charge makes heavy Hashogeki fast and plus. And that means you can just continually have plus frames against people in the corner and get them in your throw, donkey kick, safe jump, mad corner pressure. And if they're not blocking and they're trying to jab you out of it, then you're going to get really fat damage with that sequence. All right, I think that concludes the video. I'll see you next time.